Good
Good morning.
morning. How is everybody?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you're out there at the beach, Bill.
Good
morning.
morning.
Yep.
Good morning.
Hello, guys, gals.
Good morning.
Woo,
I was
Friday, finally.
Busy
I was
week.
taken back yesterday. It was Thursday. I thought it was Wednesday.
That's because
I
you went to Birmingham, so you backed up in time.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a couple hundred years in time, but yes, I backed up in time. Yeah. You step into the state of Alabama, and it's also all of a sudden it's like horse and buggy, and
Hey, that resembles me. We still have horses around here, and cows, and other farm animals and crapola.
Yeah.
All right,
Let's get going.
let's get going so we can get through this day. Let's see here. So today's Friday, May 9th, and not financial advice, and welcome to the Morning Edge. Glad
Good girl.
you guys are all here. Yesterday, the big news, we were waiting for was this US-UK trade agreement, and I went and watched it, and it was okay. And it was kind of interesting because, Patrick told us there really wasn't much news over there across the pond about it. But then, Trump had the prime minister of the UK on and, in agreement with everything. So it was interesting to see that. And actually, I think that Patrick is the prime minister of the UK because he sounds just like Patrick. So I think Patrick got off our call and went right to the Trump call. So I'm not sure, but it sounds like it to me. So anyway, the market, they went through their conference and the market really zoomed up a lot. And then it came back, the Dow was, closed up about 0.62. The Qs were up a little over 1% and the S&P was up about a little over 0.5%. So today we're looking at, kind of mellow opening here. We're not way up, we're not way down. We're just kind of, up above a little bit, a quarter of a point, tenth of a point. And that's a little bit of optimism on these US-China talks. Okay, so, again, they're just meeting in Switzerland this weekend. Anything could happen, weekend risk. I don't usually like to trade on Fridays. I like to get out of positions if I can. So if it looks good. So I don't have weekend risk, but that's up to you and your own trading plan. There's no major economic reports today, okay? And there's just a bunch of Federal Reserve directors and presidents talking. So hopefully at least on the news side, it might be a little mellower, but I doubt it, the way things have been. So we'll see what happens today. Let's go and look at some charts real quick. The S&P, we keep trying to, we just can't get past this 200 yet. We're playing on this line. Again, we're going to open up just a little bit higher today on this line. We're still, below the 200. We have the Bollinger kind of bouncing off the 200 and moving a little higher on the S&P. We wicked up just below it, didn't get to it. The oscillators are all still fine, but again, we've gone up, kind of gone sideways. And, I mean, don't know this, but, unless some news comes out that somebody's, agreed to, Mexico or Canada or China or somebody that tariff, we're going to see probably more sideways movement till after this meeting on the weekend. And I'm not expecting much out of that either, but who knows, who knows? The Qs right up to the 200 looked like, at one point I sent out a chart and we were a little bit above it, but then it came back down. So we're still fighting the 200 like we did over here, right above the 200's resistance. So again, sideways movement. Be nice to see that get over the 200 and get some upward momentum. That would be good for the markets and for swing trading in general, because we'd have a lot more companies over the 200 also. We're starting to see that a little bit now. DIA, the Dow, still hasn't gotten back close to the 200 yet, but right above the 200 is resistance. So it's interesting with the Dow. But all oscillators are looking good. But you see that sideways pattern again. We'll go into the dollar. Dollars actually rose yesterday. We were watching that sideways over the uh, intermediate support level, came all the way up, hit the Bollinger Band. Again, we're doing sideways motion a little bit, but we'll see if the dollar keeps rising. You've got some resistance about 27.91, but it did pop up a little bit after long ways of going sideways. We're over the 20, right at the Bollinger Band. Gold. Well, it was a down day yesterday. It came right back down to resistance. We've been playing between the resistance, which has been support now, and up to the sell level where the sell limits are, and we've come back down underneath the 9 and right at resistance. So gold's just kind of playing, the market. If the market looks good, people go out of gold. If the market looks bad, people roll into gold. And it's just been sideways like we've been seeing the markets in gold. Bitcoin. Bitcoin has really taken off the last 5 days. I mean, it's blown through these resistance levels, and it's just done another. Now it's outside the Bollinger Band. It can run outside the Bollinger Band for a while, but normally they pull back in. We were seeing, kind of the Bollinger going sideways, and now it's heading up. We've got the 50, the 200, the 20, the 9, all heading up, breaking through these resistance levels. If we go back just a little ways, we can see where these levels are. Okay. Hold on, let me pull this down, make it a little bigger. There was our first level of resistance. We broke through that after playing under it, between it for a while, broke up right here to the second level, you can see. And then we really candled up yesterday and today to where we were seeing resistance and support. So now you've got support down here. We're getting close to the all-time high, which is just under 110,000. If broke 100,000, if we break 100, we go in these levels, 105, 110. These are all areas that if it gets over, I've seen it run, and we'll see how it works. But money is definitely flowing into Bitcoin. And the other one, if you guys are interested, is Ethereum. Ethereum had a huge bump yesterday, and again today, heading up to the 200. So Ethereum's been kind of downtrending sideways, and I don't know what the news is. Maybe Trent does, but maybe it's altcoin season or something. I don't follow Ethereum that much, but you're seeing some movement into the crypto space for sure.
I think it has a lot to do with broke through on my 62 period average. It broke through that and just spiked higher. I think it's more of an adjustment on the level of risk. In a lot of tactical funds are readjusting to risk on or moderately risk on because it's a reflection in the options market right now. So that could be a redistribution of risk off to risk on, and crypto is definitely a risk on opportunity. So you saw that with Ripple, Solana, all of the top 5 market cap cryptos have all done the same thing.
Yeah, I think in at least the Bitcoin world, I watch it a lot, and they're really focusing on, is it finally Bitcoin as an asset class decoupling from the US dollar, and with all the talk about the dollar and the dollar going down, and are people switching their dollars into Bitcoin because it's a more steady share of value?
I'll touch upon why I think that's not the case, but go ahead.
I agree that that's not the case. I don't believe too many people are scared of getting scammed, and that's something that really needs to get settled. And yesterday was the sentencing of Alex Majinsky from Celsius. He got 12 years, which is a light sentence to what he destroyed so many people's lives.
I think that in the past, I disagree with that. I'm not sure it's decoupled yet, Bob, but I'm not dismissive enough of that yet. And I think watching this and being in this as long as I have, I think that what we're seeing is we're not seeing retail run this as much as institutional now. You've got all these big banks and you've got ETFs that are flowing into this, and you know, registered investment advisors can now use these ETFs and other products out there. That is just taking up a lot of the Bitcoin, and the retailers are not the runners of Bitcoin anymore. I think it's institutions. So I think it could be. I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's my opinion.
So I'm not, I don't think we're in a disagreement. I think that unless they do it through a brokerage house or something like that, they're getting in, but I don't think they're getting in buying Bitcoin themselves.
No, and that's what I mean by institutions.
Okay.
You know,
No, I know what you
that,
mean by
yeah,
institutions, but
yeah,
you know, it's not like I go out and I buy my Bitcoin and then I put it on my card and
right,
I keep it, right?
right.
A lot
Yeah,
of people don't go that far and they get scammed. That's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. But I think with like Fidelity, and you know, people have a higher trust in Fidelity, and now the banks are getting into it. And you know, as far as
Yeah, I agree.
custodies,
I do agree. I agree with
yeah.
that.
And
There
you can
has
see
to
it,
be
right?
some type of security, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like IBIT, like the iShares Bitcoin Trust,
Yeah.
EDF. I mean, a lot of money's going into that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
and
did too.
yeah, yeah. So I actually own this too. I bought it when it first came out and still hold it. But anyway, you know, we'll see. You know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it's interesting that Bitcoin is taking off while the markets are kind of just being sideways. So that's where the talk comes from, Bob. You know, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't think we're in
Um,
disagreement. I think
okay. I don't. Yeah, I don't either.
we both agree. It's just,
Yeah,
you know, I've been ripped off. So
I know. I
I
know.
have a different perspective.
You're scorned.
Yeah.
You're an
Yeah. I
investor
got
scorned.
scrapes all over me.
Yeah, I get it too. I get it. I'd be the same way. A little gun shy for sure. Let's look at some uh yeah, what are our momentum stocks? CAH, if you were riding the momentum stock, all of a sudden yesterday the green line of death came on, and they had a dump back down to just above the nine. So this is why you got to keep an eye on these, because if you're riding these without a resistance level, it can pop in there and knock you out real quick. So hopefully, Paul, you were out of it.
I'm out
Okay.
with a nice
Um,
game.
HIG came out and the green line of death came on that yesterday. So if you're in HIG, at least you don't have the dump yet. But these lines mean something when they do come on. And I'll just go show you like Netflix. I mean, Netflix has been on fire, but uh, you know, the green line of death isn't there yet. But you know, we're seeing some sideways movement in Netflix and a little bit of down yesterday. But Uh, if you get the green line, I mean, it's a hard line to get past. You can get up above it a little bit, but it's really hard. And this is Edwards Life Science, and I got tons of these charts that look like this, and that's why for me, you know, this is where I get out. I mean, I get out. If you were riding this up, I get out at that line. You might have missed a little bit up here, but you can see what happens. The nine comes up to there, and it just starts dying unless something happens in a catalyst like an earnings thing, or you know, in a Trump deal or something that can push all this past that. It's kind of trouble. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to look at a few more on the watch list that we've had for a long time. MicroStrategy follows Bitcoin 2x, still hopping up there. It's going to open up above. Again, it's hit resistance, but this line this week has moved twice. This resistance is keep moving up as Bitcoin keeps moving up. So MicroStrategy is going to follow the price of Bitcoin. So you know,
Happy about that.
yeah, I am too. I'm a long-term holder of MicroStrategy, and but you know, it's a Bitcoin uh, strategy company. They hold Bitcoin in their treasury, and that's what they do. So you live or die by the price of Bitcoin on MicroStrategy. So you have to kind of be a believer to hang on to this as long as you do, because there's some really trying moments, you know, in the past, you know, several years. Uh, FTNT, oops, we showed a little bit. Uh, that line really changed. That was really, this line came down, you know, we were rolling up earnings came up and then it dropped down and dropped down the intermediate resistance level. When we got in here, we would have followed my trade plan. We would have got out before earnings right here. Earnings came and then dropped down. So that would have saved us, that drop. If you have a trading plan and if that is part of your trading plan, it's part of mine. I want to look at, Bob brought up Honeywell, and Honeywell, still above the 200. I like that when it's above the 200. I like the 9 shooting up. You got the 20 crossing the 50. Got some sells right at the upper Bollinger Band, but we're starting to see a little bit of momentum in Honeywell. And then we talked a little bit about 3M following the same kind of pattern above the 200.
Can I jump in there on Honeywell?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What is it? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's another stock.
Yeah.
I'm confusing. Sorry, my mistake.
Did you want me to put one up while you're talking?
I just wanted to bring up about Fastenal because you showed me that, I made my call that it was gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
That strike down is insider selling.
Well,
Right
it's
here?
could be, but again, it's an estimation, but
This one
to
here?
be checked, but I would say
Yep.
around 30.
Insider selling.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah, they must have heard you, Bob, that you were going to short it. So there you go.
Did you sell your position, Bob?
Yes.
Here's a couple more I'm just watching. Marriott finally made it across the 200. I want to make sure that this has a back test, but if it does, it has some room to run. Oscillators look good. You want to make sure you have a back test on Marriott. Can you shut down that back talk there, Trent, if you could?
Yeah.
Thank you. STT, another one. This one actually did the back test of the 200. State Street, this has room to run up to. Watch the upper Bollinger Band, and you got sells at 96.35, and then your support will be the 200. So kind of watch that. I kind of watch these that get above. We're starting to see, we had issues with the 200, and now we're starting to see some of these stocks break through, and that's what we got to look for. This is a Bitcoin strategy stock that does like MicroStrategy. It broke above a little bit above the 9 and above the 50, still within really tight Bollinger Bands, but it's a dollar stock, $1.34 stock. So be careful of that.
How about the miners? Have anybody looked at them? I haven't looked at them lately.
Like
Can you get through your list?
Mara. There's Mara.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Because typically they're starting to sell now that Bitcoin's up so high to pay their electric bills,
Yeah. A lot of these guys they hold it too, so yeah. I forget the other ones right now. Shoot.
Iron still does some mining, no?
Who does?
Iron, IRAN.
Yeah, Iron does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Iran. Perfect. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay. Well, I'll do one more that was been a long term so far in our watch list for a couple weeks is DVX. We got in at the list back here, just running these. I love these. They just run between the upper Bollinger and the 9. Even had earnings, so I would have probably been out at earnings, but earnings must have been good. We'll see where it opens, but I would have gotten out here according to my trading plan, and then I forget. So, yeah. So anyway,
About CLSK.
CLS. Oh, okay, hold on. CLSK.
Clean Spark.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of
Yeah.
resistance.
Yeah. So that's the same with both of them.
Yeah. There's others. SMLR.
Riot, RIOT.
Right. Yeah, that one's popped. That's got some. It's
Got
under the
something
200.
there.
but
Those are
it's got-
Bitcoiners, right? That's a
Yeah,
This
these
is
are all
these are
miners.
miners. This is a miner. SMLR is a Bitcoin treasury strategy company. It's a smaller one. It started
Yeah, it's
treasury
struggling.
a little bit.
Way below the
FLD.
200 too.
Yeah, FLD, another one that's trying to be a Bitcoin strategy company.
All right, we can move on. There's nothing
Okay.
special there.
No. CORZ is the last one I'll do. This is another one. This is Core Scientific. This is another Bitcoin treasury company. And this one's, had a nice move too, following the price of Bitcoin 945 it closed at. And it's got some room to run if you believe in the momentum of Bitcoin. So I'm going to run it over to Trent. Trent, it's all yours. If you have anything you want to look at, put it in the chat, and after Trent's done, we'll take a look at it.
Let me know when you can see this.
It's there.
All right, so this is a chart of the SPX total gamma exposure by price. I talk about options a lot. I know it's complex, but as a indicator of stock price movement, specifically in the SPX, because most options are traded daily on the SPX, which is the S&P 500. And this is showing us today, this red line is sort of the line in the sand between negative gamma and positive gamma. And negative gamma is negative to the markets, and positive gamma is positive to the markets. So the further we go out on the positive side, the more bullish in this particular situation SPX or the S&P 500 gets. The further left we get, the more bearish we get. And we have seen the bearish side contract towards what we call the flip line here. This information is provided by tier1alpha.com. I would highly suggest you check them out. It's very educational and gives you a better understanding of market structure. But we have entered this zone of neutralness, which means market makers are sort of playing a even level teeter-totter kind of approach to hedging their positions. And what we should look at is this is a chart of the SPX versus cash VIX options. And we can see here, this line here, this purple line is the April option expiration. And when we saw the VIX spike back in early March or so, we see that correlation between the S&P 500, which is the candlesticks, fell. And as we got we have gotten closer and closer to option expiration, April option expiration, the markets basically bottomed and then started moving higher. But once we got past option expiration at the end of April, you can see volatility for basically 1 day spiked again a little bit, and then in the SPX dropped, and then volatility started to slide off and up until where we are. And we've had a 9-day or 10-day run on the S&P 500. This is like clockwork. And what we're seeing now is understand this, how these funds work. These are systematic volatility driven funds. They manage their books of business based on the volatility of, say, the S&P 500. So in February, these systematic funds went to a risk off environment, which means this chart here, this blue line, this represents the systematic funds. And you see here, you go into the beginning of 2025, they're taking risk off and became risk off up until the last 9 days or so, 10 days or so. The S&P eventually fell along with it. Now, since they base it on a 1-month VIX versus a 3-month realized volatility, bear with me, that 30-day period, which we had a major spike around April 9th in S&P 500 realized volatility, that volatility expanded, and that's where we saw the big jump in the VIX. Well, yesterday was the 30-day rolled over, and that high number that was on April 9th that skewed the realized 30-day realized VIX volatility rolled off, and $18 billion rolled into equities yesterday. Okay. So that rolled off, which now readjusts what the comparison between the 1 month and the 3 month realized volatility. And that's why you're seeing gamma come in and become more neutral, and markets are now more neutral to bullish going forward. And this is all like, if this happens, therefore this happens, then this happens kind of mechanism. And what we're now seeing is a recalibration of risk on versus, or risk off versus risk on in these systematic funds, these tactical funds. They don't take in headlines, they don't take in tariffs or fundamentals. This is all mathematically driven, and it's based on volatility. And as we see the VIX fall, as we are, which is down around 22 now, we're going to continue to see these systematic funds recalibrate their portfolios each day to more of a bullish environment. So we should anticipate that for the next probably week or two, as long as there's no like ridiculous headlines or crazy data that comes out that could skew a lot of this, we should anticipate a modest bullish environment for equities for the near future. Now, what skews volatility is and the reaction to, and as we get further into the quarter and we start to see consumer spending numbers or non-farm payroll numbers, and we start to see what Mark has been talking about when, and what's going to force the Fed to lower interest rates is unemployment numbers. And so these come closer and closer, we could see a ramp up in volatility again. But until we see that this adjustment in 3-month volatility, realized volatility start to spike again, chances are we're in a neutral to bullish environment. So it's good for us who are looking more on a 15 to 62 day period of time for equities to move higher. So take into account as you look at these things, take into account volatility and the market structure and how, retail investors become a very dominant player in the 0 days to expiration market, but these gigantic $1 trillion of funds that base everything based on a mathematical formula of this, if this happens, therefore this happens, and they're basing it a lot on volatility, it can be a very big leading indicator to get bullish or bearish. And right now, what it's telling us is that you're going to see more of a neutral to bullish environment going forward until we start to run into more things data that could drive a bearish environment. And so we saw these funds readjust back in late February to a risk off environment, and up with this every morning through Tier 1 Alpha in their description I have with them. But it's very telling. It's like you can see pivots when you see the volatility in the VIX drop into the investable bucket, which is below 19. This will become more of a bullish environment, and we'll see better swing trading opportunities. We'll see better intermediate to long-term opportunities. We're seeing it in Kerry's watch list. Movements more towards a bullish environment. It's just pick your places, watch the underlying structure of this market, because it is complicated, but it's worth spending a little time to understand what drives markets. And right now we're seeing a neutral to a bullish environment in the options market, and it is become a gigantic market, especially with retail investors. 50% of the 0 expiration option volume each day. It's become a playground, and I always believe the institutions will always rule the roost, and at some point they will get an edge on retail investors, especially in their zero DTE options, and you could see a very big whiplash happen. So be aware of market structure as you position and risk manage your overall portfolio. And honestly, that's why I believe Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, Binance, Bitcoin are all on a tear right now higher, because these funds are readjusting. I mean, you look at a chart and it's just like yesterday, and candlestick is gigantic. And I believe it's a lot has to do with these volatility funds readjusting, deploying risk and risk on environment. And I think that's, you're going to see crypto benefit in a big way because of the leverage factor in crypto. And so I'm optimistically neutral bullish right now on equities. What I am concerned about is the data that will come out in the coming weeks or so when it comes to consumer related items and non-farm payroll and job elements. Go forth.
If we
All right.
if we follow the banks, because I've been hearing a lot of the banks as the talking heads, they're saying consumer is very strong, other than a small percentage. That's this morning.
But Bob,
Yeah.
are they lying? Are they just talking their book?
Yeah, I think they don't want to say the consumer's in the shithole, you know.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
You
it's
know,
like,
it's interesting, Bob, because they say that, but then if you go look at their balance sheets, you see how much money they put in reserve to cover the
to
debts that
cover
aren't going to
bad
be
debt.
paid. Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm on board with that, but I can't. How do you get on and tell people that the economy is in great shape? There's no
Well, think
issue
about
with the economy, and people are making money. Look at the M2. M2 doesn't show people are really saving any money. It's not going up.
Yeah, savings
Yeah.
rates are down. Yeah. Well, then, if you got people who have to start paying their student loans back too, that's
I
going to
know.
cause a little, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just starting that. That's not
just this
even
week.
filtered in the system yet.
Right.
Are they paying it? That's the question.
Well, yeah,
I think a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are going, I don't have the money to pay these things back.
She
And so
never
you're
took that
just seeing
stupid
the
loan.
beginnings of that.
I was a vice president of operations for a student loan guarantee company for years, the fifth largest in the United States. And when the government took over that whole program, it pretty much put a kibosh on any kind of discipline in paying your loans back.
Well,
It
you
just
said the
didn't.
right word, discipline.
Yeah.
How about they were also including or taking loans out on lifestyle too?
Absolutely.
That should not be happening, you know?
Yeah,
Period.
the requirements for having a loan issued to you changed drastically after the U.S. federal government took over the student loan program. A lot of those loans we would not guarantee a lot of those loans that they have today because of the financial background, of the borrower.
Mhm.
And no one would do that. If I was selling you a car or a house, I wouldn't do that either,
I
but,
hope
I
nobody in here has a school loan out.
well, I hope
What-
not. Well, well,
I'm
Right.
sure
I
say-
there's
hey,
someone on
maybe I
in
think
this
Big
pack
Bad
that
Bill's
has a school loan out. I
Big
mean,
Bad Bill's got his final payment next month, don't you, Bill, on your student loan? Yeah, just that look alone just tells me. I'm gonna look at a few charts that you guys brought up real quick. ACLS was one that someone brought up, and it had a nice couple-day run above the 50, but then we've hit into intermediate resistance level, and then we've got some resistance of sell orders at 193. So probably not the time that I would get in for my trading plan. It's just really up to yours, but it had a nice run after earnings. Doesn't mean it can't go any higher, but it's below the 200, and it's going to have to play against this resistance level for sure. UAL that Paul brought up. UAL just made it across the 200, which is nice. Above the Bollinger Band. Let's see if it can retest that and continue. If it can stay above and retest, back test on that, it's got some room to run. when you talk about airlines, my favorite airline is SkyWest. I used to fly this all the time. This one I've been watching. It finally did above the 200, and then yesterday, it's outside the Bollinger Band, but this one has taken off on some momentum. You've got some sell orders at 102.78, but it's probably likely going to pull back in the Bollinger Band at some time. But this has got some momentum right now. This is my personal favorite airline. It's a regional carrier, but I used to fly it all the time up and down the coast of California, and it's a really, really good airline.
How about Boeing? Boeing came up yesterday that they're going to get some billion-dollar contract from UK.
Yeah, Boeing worked something with China, and also it was in the UK.
Well, China was taking it away.
Yeah. So I thought China was going to buy some or
No.
do something. Okay. Well,
China canceled their planes with Boeing.
Okay. Well, I know that the UK, part of that tariff deal was to buy some Boeing jets.
Correct.
Yeah. So it came all the way up, right, gap past it, but came back down and closed right at resistance. So, again, would you rather buy here or would you rather buy here? That's risk reward.
I like Boeing because it's always in Trump's narrative. He always mentions Boeing.
Yeah, he always mentions them like they're behind schedule and they're going to pay. We're going to pay less for our next Air Force One.
The problem is they're heavily in debt, Paul.
They are.
They
haven't gone
debt.
past that 737 debacle. Yeah.
The MAX issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney had closed above off their earnings yesterday. It did not crash back down. You got a little bit of run. You're way outside the Bollinger Band, but as Ira Epstein would say, you're embedded on your stochastic. Okay, so that means it can run. I like it. Do I like to buy outside the Bollinger Band? Absolutely not. Okay, but some people have a higher risk parameter than I do. But again, earnings bumped up Disney a bit. A couple others.
Have you watched Ira Epstein?
Yeah.
His videos?
Yeah.
I like his videos.
Yeah, I've watched him for a long, long time. He's been around for a long, long time. And so I've followed him for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, take a look at BTU, please.
Which
one? BTU, Peabody Energy Corp.
Yeah, a coal company.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys just about went out of business under Obama when they were really cutting down on coal, and then starting to see a little bit of life coming back into some of these guys.
Yeah. Talking a couple of weeks ago about energy companies and coal companies ramping up.
Let's go back a couple of years on this one. Yeah, look at this. Boom.
Yeah.
This
still
was
below 200, but showing some sort of sign of life.
It's bouncing a little. Yeah.
I have a list of infrastructure companies, and it's interesting. You go back towards mid-April or late April, they all had a bump higher, and now they're all hit sort of a ceiling, and are pulling back overall. So it's interesting just how narratives will drive some of these sectors going forward.
This is road. We've mentioned this. This is a construction partner. You can see it's had, this resistance level has been pretty strong. Earnings dropped it down, came back up above the 200, down below the 200, and then came back up, and now it's back to resistance.
Yeah.
So
look at
go ahead.
On India, INDA. It's basically the India ETF.
Right.
This just gives you an example what narratives and news will do. As we saw, India came to the table real quick on the tariffs. I think they're somebody said the fourth country to come to the table. And there was that big bump. And then all of a sudden they're out of the news in the last, basically 4 or 5 days. It's just fallen.
Because of the war. Because they're fighting with Pakistan now.
Yeah. So it's interesting how I was reading, I'm reading a book on probability trading, and they reference, people who trade off headline news. It's just interesting how you can look at how headlines relate to some of these stocks and the industries and in this country, and how how it drives the movement of these stocks.
This is Brazil.
Yeah.
I find the one, I think it's EW. This is Germany. This is interesting to me because Germany's technically in a recession, but look at the stock market, or the fund. And again,
Yeah.
here's this green line, and it comes up, and that's it. It just kind of kills it. But this is Germany. They're in a recession. So part of that is the dollar, and part of that is the tariffs, and it's just, we're in a really strange place.
Yeah.
From
Look at Palantir and how it's recovered in the last 2 days.
yeah, it's
You
gonna
know,
open up right about where it closed, but still, we
Yeah.
got to get past this,
Yeah.
but it's possible.
And this is
But
a retail fund. I mean,
yeah, that's what
mostly
you guys.
retail company.
I did not know that. You guys brought it up, so that was awesome.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, what else you guys got for a Friday?
Take a look at lumber.
Okay.
Can you well, if you can look at the future contracts.
You'll have to do that.
Okay.
I want to pull up our portfolio too at some point, so we can check out that.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on
Give me a second.
Robin Hood.
You look at lumber and how just yesterday the 7th, or Wednesday the 7th, it sort of pivoted, and then yesterday it skyrocketed higher all of a sudden. So it's just interesting as a commodity. What did this, what happened that drove this to have, for lumber all of a sudden to become back in favor in one day, not that it's broken.
Look at copper and see if just regular commodities went up in general yesterday. CPER was it C? I don't. Copper futures there.
Isn't it?
No, I think it's down there.
Oh,
You've got futures there if you want to look at.
I think
Yeah.
that's Mexico.
Oh, that's the copper futures.
Yeah,
CP.
it's on there. There we
Okay,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. So copper basically went nowhere yesterday, the last couple of days. But it's hit resistance. Bit of a rolling over in the MACD and indecisive, right, sitting at that 50 line on the RSI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me pull back. Let's pull up the portfolio. Just a second here. Oh boy. Amongst yourselves. Here we go. Getting new internet here at the studio today. Very excited.
That's always a challenge.
Yeah. All
I
right.
usually parallel path them. Have 2 of them going to check it out.
In case one doesn't work. Fail safing, that's a good idea.
For test driving.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay.
Okay,
You
here
guys
we go.
see this?
Not yet.
Paul's still killing it.
There it is.
Palantir and Spotify on the top. Mike comes in with gold. Mark in with MicroStrategies. Scott with Opify, OPFI. David in with CrowdStrike. Gold again with Mike. SGOL. Berkshire. Boeing's made a move higher over the last couple
amazing
days.
how this has changed since the last time we looked at it.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you just take over real quick?
Okay. Then we're looking at Bitcoin, 8.12%. And then I've got the IBIT, which is the Bitcoin, the crypto is helping me out a lot along with Berkshire Hathaway. Mike still got gold going. Bob's got Walmart still hanging in there. And we got Microsoft came back, Mitsubishi, and then Ripple. So we can see that some of our crypto picks are starting to come back. Meta, Trent, I can't get down to the bottom of this, but anyway, we're starting. I was going to see what, I can't move it because Trent's got it on his screen, but to see what our total is. We were down, I forget what it was before. But anyway, Paul, you're still in the lead. So
Can you pull up a Walmart chart?
I can if I can get this off. He left his screen on, so let me see if I can override it. I don't think I can. Did mine come up?
Yeah,
Yep.
you're up.
Oh.
Sorry, the internet guy is here, so give me a
Okay.
second.
All right, we're gonna look at Walmart. Walmart again, I'm looking at this resistance level in Walmart, and if they can get past it, and we've got this Bollinger Band now coming back down. And I've also see the MACD coming back down a little in Walmart. So we're seeing a little sideways like we're seeing with the rest of the market.
But it's got room to go up.
It does. It's just got to get past that resistance here. Costco looks a lot better, as far as room to roll, because its resistance is way up here. Trent needs to shut his speaker off.
Yeah.
Hood, you said Hood, Robin Hood. Robin Hood's got a little bit of resistance here. So again, nice run up, but if we can get past that, and we'll see, it'll come up, and you look at where the market and the guys in the market have sell orders. They believe it can pop up to 58.37. And then normally you see in these charts, it kind of goes like this. The 9 kind of catches up and rolls along here and then comes back down. That's what I normally see, unless there's some catalyst that moves these things higher in some way. So, what else do we got? How about this was under the 200 boot. This is Boot Barn. So there must be a lot of boots being sold. Got above the 50. We're above the 20, the 9. It is riding along the Bollinger Band. It's under 200. It's got sell orders above it. You're going to have, resistance at the Bollinger, and you're also going to have it at 124.52.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, we heard your whole conversation. So
well, when you're getting 1 gig up and 1 gig down now, I'm like, sorry, I'm gonna take advantage of this.
Yeah, no problem. So we were just looking at different charts. So
Okay.
What else you guys got? Anything else you guys want to talk about before the big market open for Friday? Bob, you still looking at? You seeing anything, Bob, in your orders or anything in the shipping? Your shipping guys telling you anything?
I haven't spoken to my shipping guys. I notice he's home a lot more, but which is usually a bad sign. No, I really don't have much. I will tell you that I was at BMW getting my car serviced the other day, and I was talking to my sales guy, and sales are still way down. They're not selling. And I was surprised the service department was slow. I brought my car in for a sensor issue. And, usually that's, 1 week it probably sits in there for them to figure out what's wrong with it. It was service. I called tomorrow. I had an appointment for tomorrow, which very rare. And they had it fixed by the end of the day. I was in shock, but goes to show you how slow they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't take much. You can look around. Has anyone seen any shelves empty in any of your stores you're going or anything yet?
I have not myself.
I haven't either.
I've seen them like spotty, like holy in some areas, things like that, but I haven't seen a significant drop yet. And I really think that the actual grocer, they're probably, if they put in for, 2 cases, they're getting 1 case, they're probably doing their own throttling of inventory.
Yeah. I think, a lot of these companies like preloaded, front loaded everything inventory wise is what I've read back in March, April in anticipation of this. So you probably won't see anything like this until we get in probably to June, as these inventories. And if we continue to see the lack of, shipment coming into the country, there's a good chance we won't see anything until June, July, if it doesn't get rectified. Because from what I read, it's anywhere between about a 60-day delay.
90 days. Yeah.
60, 90.
Yeah, 60,
So
90 is that's if they settle it. Like
yeah, which I
in
doubt
May.
they will. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Bob,
Honestly,
do you still have a date, Bob, that you got to get your product on a boat before
Yeah,
tariffs?
it's the 21st.
21st of May.
Yeah.
So when would you receive it if it does get on a boat and starts headed
About
this way?
6 weeks transit.
Okay. So you
And
get
where do
into
you ship
July.
to? Where do you ship to?
To Newark.
But where's it going?
It's coming in.
Oh, it's coming in.
Coming in
Okay.
from Taiwan to Newark. I haven't
Okay.
gotten cancellation yet, so
Well, that's a good sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely positive about it, but you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And until things turn around and they come to some agreement. Right now, they say they're talking, right? Aren't they supposed to meet
Yeah, and
This weekend.
this week in Switzerland,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So hopefully Monday we have some type
Well,
of agreement.
I think Trump already talked about he's going to lower the tariff. He was thinking about before this meeting on China to 80% as a good faith offering, I guess.
Are you kidding me?
That's what he said. That's the way he negotiates.
My point
though, I
is
guess.
80% is still crazy. I mean,
I know, but it's a lowering of the temperature a little bit, I guess.
Sounds like
But I-
sarcastic.
what I will say to you,
That's just his style of dealing. I mean, read the book, you'll understand it.
I mean, last month we had a decent month. This month is off to a good start.
Okay.
So, it's not, gangbusters, but it is in the right direction.
Okay. Good.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, Margaret, how you been doing? You've been doing pretty good on trading, I guess, this week, huh? Your mute's on. There you go.
I had, I think, 8 positive swings this week. So
Nice. Good
Wow,
job.
good for you.
you guys
Good.
are invaluable. My brain is not near as complicated as yours are.
So,
Well,
thanks for the
over
compliment,
time,
but
you
I checked
build
my
that.
brain at the door.
You build
No,
it over
that's good.
time.
That's good. I see you in the Discord, and you're always telling us, what you've been doing, and I'm really happy you're in and making money because I know your story, as far as how you've been through the financial advisors and stuff, and I'm just glad you were able to help. We were able to help a little bit and help you get, moving in the right direction. So good. Good for you.
Sometime I'd like to hear your long-term guidelines. I get the Paul Tudor Jones, the 50 and 200 and following the weekly or monthly charts, but which company, what do you look at to invest in? And so
I'll see if I can, from my point of view, if I can get 4 or 5 this week.
I like
Maybe.
your point of view. My risk is about the same as yours.
Oh,
No.
no risk. Okay. Yeah,
You
we'll
went
do
through
that.
I
the
second that
advisors
too.
that advise you how to lose money.
Being in business with an alcoholic brother did that, so I'm pretty good at that.
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
I like the long-term outlook of Mark too as well. I'd be interested in that.
Okay, I'll try to do something. I gotta promote a concert on Saturday, so I'll try to get it done Sunday and see if I can find something.
Well,
Well,
Baines, let's wrap it up. About 5 minutes till the market open.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Before you wrap it up, when someone
Yeah.
says long term, what's long term?
2 years.
What's long term to you, Margaret? What's long term to you?
Yeah, Margaret.
Well, when it goes close to where I'm might lose money, then all of a sudden it switches from swinging to long, you know what I mean? That's a moving number. I'm just not sure.
For
Do you feel
me,
you have to be in the market every day? Because you don't.
no, you
No,
don't.
no. That when it dropped lately, it was great because I had everything in cash and T-bills by then. And so
Good
now
for
I
you.
get to figure out what I want to do, and that's what I need help with. I mean,
Okay.
I'm an animal person and a medicine person. I am not economics. And so this is all a huge learning curve for me.
So you've done well. And for me, I look at longer term. You know, I have longer term investments. A few of them, and I'm like Bob. I don't spread it out all over the place. You know, I have Berkshire Hathaway, I have MicroStrategy, I have Bitcoin, and a few other small ones are my long-term strategies. Okay. And then I have treasuries like you. You know, I put money in treasuries 30 days, and it rotates every week. So I can pull that money out and invest it. But I haven't seen anything. And like I look at the 200, Margaret, I look at the 50. I've seen some that are coming back. I'll try to get a couple that that you don't have to look at every day, and you can just see it, and the thing that's why I keep looking at the SPY and the Qs to get above the 200. If you get above that 200, you can sustain. Heck, you could get in the Qs or the SPY, and just let it roll if you wanted to do that until it went back under the
I
200.
like individual companies, this big conglomerate thing. I'm
Yeah.
nuts, but
Berkshire's not a bad bet.
Well,
Berkshire's
Berkshire's,
not a bad bet.
yeah, I've owned Berkshire forever, and it
when
just
it
never.
went down, I bought that, and I went MicroStrategy went down, I bought that. So those
Yeah.
two now I've just kind of not put the swing things on. I've just got a lower stop on. So
So he told
you
you
know-
his position. I'm going to tell you my position. I'm not
Go
married
ahead.
to anything. So that's my position. And I learned that a long time ago because I got married to stocks and they would go down.
Why
And
not?
they go down, they get down to the bottom, they don't retrieve back up to where. And I will say to you that I've made some bad mistakes and some bad investments, but that's what taught me that my strategy.
Bad
And
divorces.
when I see something peak, I don't care what it is. For him, Berkshire, he stays in, he invests it. I don't stay in. It gets to the top, I get out because I can put that money to work somewhere else. And
But
I'm having returns in the 30% for over the years. So that's why I take that position. Some people just don't have the time to watch it. And I don't. Some of the things they do with options and everything, I don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
But I will pick one or two that I know, and that's when I will strike on those type of things. But I found that not being married to something has made me more money. And I agree with Mark about don't get spread out because what happens is when you get too spread out, some do very well, others fall apart, and then you're equal. You didn't
They
make
cancel
anything.
they cancel each other out.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm not married per se, Bob, but I'm up so much and my cost basis is so low on those that it's going to have to totally collapse.
I get that you got it at the right time and everything, but I don't know. I like taking my money. I like taking my profit.
I like the way that is, Bob. And when that green line of death comes up, I get out almost on everything. And
I do.
I think you're trading properly.
I'm learning.
Here's one thing to take a look at is what is the Federal Reserve doing with interest rates? And if you back, and look at a chart of Federal Reserve Fed funds rates, historically, when Fed funds rates drops, there's more money in the system, which causes more of a bullish market. And when the Fed starts raising rates, you start to see the momentum of the market start to roll off. And you look at where we are today with rates being what, at 4.33% versus at the end of 22, they were at 5 basis points. So 5% of 1%. So, and then you saw this massive expansion in the market got liquidity. I think that's one like long-term barometer that you can look at and go, am I in a bull or bear market? And then build your long-term process down from there. Right now, Fed funds rates are high and markets are slowing, they're falling. And until they start lowering rates and start aggressive and bring it down to whatever the 2-year is at, I think it's like 3.7 or something, this market's going to is not going to be bullish for a while. It's not going to be aggressively bullish. And so that's like one barometer, one benchmark you could look at and go, okay, long term, am I in a bear market or a bull market? And right now, what that tells me is we're in a bearish market, and we will until they get aggressive about lowering rates again. Because this is all about money flow. This is all about the availability of money. And right now, money is tight. Lending is not happening. And you got a high cost to borrow money. I mean, to buy for a house right now, a 30-year mortgage, you're probably at 6.5 plus. Most of America can't. So that would become more of a bearish environment. So to me, that is like that for what's the cost of money and how available is money?
I think it's interesting to follow up on that, and I don't mean to take everyone's time, because I know your time's valuable, but why is everyone else's central bank? I think England just lowered their rates, Canada lowered their rates, everyone but the US.
Well,
Why? Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Bob. I knew you were going to have a comment.
It's the personalities. You got
Yeah.
two heads, not for anything, but Trump put Powell in place, right?
Yep.
And now, you got this going on. They're bumping heads. Trump has his, his way of doing things. I don't know. I mean, it's let me tell you something. When there's a settlement in the tariffs, Powell's gone. He can't do anything because the market will dump and everybody will run for the hills if he goes after Powell to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Once there's a settlement with China, it's a different ball game.
You kind of said China like Trump says it. It's
New York accent.
Jersey.
Well, all right,
All right.
guys, have a good weekend. If not, we'll see you at 3:00.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day,
Yes, happy
everyone.
Mother's
See you
Day.
at 3.
Happy
Thank
Mother's
you.
All right.
See all three.
Have a good one.
Good
Bye.
weekend.
See you later.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you later,
See
Trent.
you.
Bye.
Peace.